Today we're going to look at St. Louis County Park System's Cliff Cave Park. We're going to look at the different parts to the process of forming sedimentary rocks.
Sedimentary rocks. Sedimentary rocks begin as bits of sediment. Here we see the Mississippi River carrying tons of sediment downstream. The bank across the way is layer upon layer of sediment that has been laid down by the Mississippi River over many, many years. In the springtime, the Mississippi River carries more sediment than at any other time of the year. The fields upriver are bare, and as the snow melts, it begins to carry sediments off of each of the farmers' fields. Here just south of St. Louis, Missouri, the Mississippi is wide and swollen as spring rains and snow melts in the north have brought tons of sediment in the water. This sediment will progress downstream toward Mississippi and toward the Gulf of Mexico. You can see how fast the current is right now. Oftentimes it's much slower than this. Let's go look for some of the other evidence of sedimentary rock in our nearby neighborhood. Here on the banks of the Mississippi, we can see a small ravine that has been cut by water rushing down to the river. In the layers of sediment that have been left here, you can see the lines of the layers. Different years have left different amounts of sediments, building up this small sandbar. And now that has also been eroded by the water coming down this ravine. You can see a log there that's been buried by the sediment that's been dropped in this ravine. We're going to follow this ravine further upstream and see where it's coming from, see what bits it might be carrying, and get some other clues as to sedimentary rocks in our area. Much of Missouri is underlain by a sedimentary rock called limestone. Here we see a limestone bluff along the Mississippi River. As we zoom in, you can see distinctly the layers in the limestone. You can also see from the rainwater patterns that this rock dissolves easily. Rainwater moving down through the layers dissolves the limestone, carrying with it ions and atoms of dissolved stone. This creates erosion, but it also creates deposition. Deposition of rocks that we call chemical sedimentary rocks. These rocks themselves were laid down as clastic sedimentary rock, but a different type forms within them and in caves.
One of the uses of sedimentary rocks, especially limestone, is to cut the stone out in quarries.
Here a small creek flows down out of a spring inside one of the caves up the hill. You can see the river, or the little creek, running over rocks, bits of rock that have come down from the hillside. This hillside goes up, and the bluffs that we just saw were up above. So all these bits of rock have been carried downhill, and we've got small bits that are running downstream as well. You can see how muddy the water is carrying the bits of sediment here. As the sediments are carried over, larger bits that have not made it further downstream. Let's go look at the cave that feeds this little creek. Here we see water running out of the cave and down through the little ravine. Notice all the large rock pieces that have tumbled down this ravine and fill the ravine floor. Many of them have been brought here by this little creek as it comes out of the cave at the base of the bluffs. You can see all the broken pieces of rock that have been brought downhill by gravity, but also by water as This ravine is really truly full at the bottom here with bits of rock, both large and small. As we zoom in on some of the rocks here close by, you can see the combination of large pieces and small pieces of rock as they're being broken apart. And there's the water that's doing some of the job as it flows downhill down toward the Mississippi. Here we see an opening to a limestone cave. Our St. Louis County Park System has been ever so gracious in keeping us safe by building this grate so that people will not venture back into these caves. There is stories that these caves were used by settlers to keep food cool, also by Indians as a place to find shelter. I can see, I don't know if you can see it, if I zoom in, there is kind of a pillar in there where everything but that area has been dissolved away, right there in the center of the screen. But like I said, our St. Louis County Park System has, at first they erected a wall, but then they also have erected this grate to keep us out of the caves. But you can see how the caves, or the limestone has been dissolved away in this bluff. And up above, more layers of limestone that have been dissolved away. And sedimentary rock. Rock made from layers and layers and layers and layers of sediment. Here in the bluff wall, you can see many of those layers as they crack through repeated freezing and thawing. Well, that concludes our tour of Cliff Cave County Park as part of the St. Louis County Park System. I'm looking down the ravine, down toward the Mississippi where the creek flows, where we started today's trip.